Okay, so welcome to my mouth, my tool, part one. Okay, today we're going to be looking at, you know, what our mouth is used for. Is our mouth really a tool? And we're not just doing it for doing sake. The whole idea of this class is for you to be able to change things, to turn around 360-degree turn around. Okay, if after this class and you appraise yourself and you see that you're not using this tool the way you should, my intention and the intention of God's Spirit is for you to make a change, do the right thing with your mouth. Because whether you like it or whether you know it or not, your destiny is in your hands. Amen. So, today we're going to be looking at it, right? Remember, everything, everything, let's say everything in your house has a manual. If you purchased it newly, brand new, it comes with a manual. Okay, it comes with a manual. So, and what is the manual for? The manual is for you to get directions, for you to learn how to use something. Your phone has a manual. Your cooker has a manual. Your DVD has a manual. Everything you have that is electronics that you can operate or that you can use as a tool, it comes with a manual. Anything that you did not make has a manual. The reason the manual is included is so that you don't make mistakes, or if you're stuck on a particular area of the product, you can refer back to the manual, to the manufacturer's manual. That is what's called manufacturer's manual. That's actually the manufacturer's instruction on how to use a product or how to use that particular product. But unfortunately, most of us, when we buy a phone, we assume that we already know everything about the phone. Just bring it out, you plug it, you start charging it. We wouldn't bother to look at the manual. Some can even go as far as saying that the manual is lying. Amen. So today, what we're learning is our mouth. Our mouth, okay? Our mouth as a tool. Because your mouth is a tool. And we're not just going to sit here and quote what we think. Human psychology. Okay, what do you think this manual is for? What do you think our mouth is for? It is for a particular purpose. And for us to actually be able to know what this mouth for, what our mouth is for, is to go to the manufacturer's manual. So most things we're going to be doing, everything we're going to be doing in this class, we have to be referring to the manual. You have a manual. Someone manufactured you. Someone created you. He gave you a manual. So the easiest way to readjust in your life or to make things happen in your life is the manual. When you check out the manual, then you will know if you're actually using it right or wrong. Okay, so we're going to be looking at our mouth, this tool called mouth. And remember, what is it for anyway? Sorry, what's this mouth for? Is it just for eating, or just for talking, or for singing, or for screaming, or for insulting people, or for saying what we like? Is that what our mouth is for? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because you can actually make melody without singing, without opening your mouth and closing it. No, you can do something. You can use your hand, play an instrument, minister to the Lord in such a mighty way. You can do that. And you can actually eat without your mouth. Most people in the hospital, they can't even open their mouth to chew, yet they feed them. So that is to tell us that the primary reason for this thing called mouth is not for eating, because you can eat from another thing. They can feed you without you eating with this mouth. Okay, that means there's a higher use of our mouth. There's a higher use. So a lot of us has been in a mess. A lot of us is depressed because we don't know how to use the tool God has given us. Remember, We are made in the image and likeness of God. You didn't just evolve from somewhere. Someone made you. And if that person actually pre-existed before you, what did that person do with his mouth? What did he do with his mouth? You understand? What did he do with his mouth? Let's go to the book of Genesis. We already know the story of creation. Okay, but for some of us that they are not really Christian, maybe you're just seeing us for the first time. Let's go to the book of the beginning. Like my pastor will always say that if you want to understand the principles of life, all of them are expressed in the book of the very beginning. That is the book of Genesis. So when you go there, you see the principles. You see how things are being done. Amen. So let's go to the book of Genesis. Please, I don't just want us to learn it for learning. I want us to put it to work, okay? Book of Genesis. Let's look at Genesis 1. Okay. Let me use King James Version because I know most of us. Most of us are children of King James. Okay. Now this is Genesis 1. Let's start from verse 1. Okay. It says, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, and the earth was without form and void. Now we're talking about creation here, okay? Yeah. So let's find out what God did with his own mouth first. The first thing that we are told that he did with his own mouth. Okay. That's what we'll find out what this thing called mouth is for. He said, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. He said, and God said, let there be light. God said, and there was light. You know? So, God said, what did he say with? With his mouth. That means our mouth, my mouth is for speaking, right? It's for saying something. It's not for eating. This mouth is not for eating. You can eat any other way. So this mouth is for saying something. God said, let there be light. Remember, this is our manufacturer's manual. Okay? Sorry, this is our manufacturer's manual. So the person that created us, what we are first told that he used his mouth for is to say something. He didn't say, oh, and the earth was without form of water, and God now ate. After eating, he now drank water. After drinking, if he has said, and God ate, that means the primary reason for our mouth is for eating. But here he said, and God said, meaning he spoke. He said something. You know? So, if he said something, that means the primary reason for our mouth is for us to speak. Amen. It's for us to speak. Okay? And if God's purpose, remember we are made in his image and his likeness. That means the reason for this thing called mouth is for us to speak. It's for us to say something. For us to say something. Amen. So what are we really saying something? Or are we just using our mouth to eat? If we are saying something, what are we saying? Remember, what he used his mouth for here is to create. He said, and God said, let there be light. He brought forth light with his mouth. He said something. So what have you been saying? Or are you just keeping the mouth to yourself? What have you been saying? Okay. And remember, in this our mouth, there's an organ in it. It is called the tongue. Now, this tongue is meant for something. A mouth without a tongue cannot speak. So the mouth and the tongue goes together. So because of the tongue, we have a mouth. Both is referred to as mouth. Because if you don't have a tongue, you can't speak. So that means the tongue is the major ingredient inside there. Okay? This tongue, what is it? See, I need us to understand what we are doing, so you know exactly what this thing you call mouth is for. The tongue, what is it all about? What can we do? What can we not do? How powerful is this our mouth? God said in his own, he used it to say something. He used it to create, right? He used it to create. Let there be this, let there be that. If you're not, if you're not used to the book of Genesis, go there and read and see what God did with his own mouth. He never told us, during the period of creation that God now sat and started eating. So eating is not the major purpose for this mouth. This mouth has a higher purpose, which is to say something, which is to say. And how far the things we say, how does it affect us? Okay, let's look at the tongue. How powerful this our mouth is. Let's look at it. So just follow me to the book of James, chapter 3. Amen. So after today, we'll learn how to actually make good use of our mouth. Yeah, James chapter 3. Okay. Let's start from verse 1 so that you can understand the context. He said, my brethren, meaning my brothers, be not many masters, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation. For in many things we offend all. If any man offend not in words, you understand? Words. And you can utter words you can speak words from your mouth. If any man offend not with the use of his mouth, okay, the same is a perfect man. That means it is your mouth, it's from your mouth that we know if you're a perfect man or no. He said, and able also to bridle the whole body. That means this mouth can control your whole body. It can control you as a human being. It can control you, as a person. Your mouth, that is actually the control. That is the control knob of your life. Okay? So if you can write down control knob, my mouth is a control knob. My mouth is a control knob. If you can write it down, then okay, your mouth is a control knob. You know how you control your gas, you control your volume of everything. That is what this mouth is meant for, to control our lives. He said, behold, listen to for you to see how he described this mouth. He said, behold, we put bits in the horse's mouth. You know how to cover the horse's mouth? That they may obey us. And we turn about their whole body. Once you cover the horse's mouth, you will be able to, decide where the horse goes to. Now you're seeing, so when you see a horse, that they kind of use that thing to cover him or just know the reason so they can be able to control. So for you to know that when you take it out, you cannot control the horse. But when you just cover it, the horse will follow you. Anywhere you control it, the horse will go. So that means our mouth controls our life. That's big. Our mouth controls our lives. He said, behold, listen. He said, behold, also the sheep. A sheep, okay? Which though they be so great and are driven of fierce winds. Let me go to a newer translation, modern day English. Let's use a NIV. Because this one is sounding, thou doest and thou makest. So let's use NIV. Okay. He said, when we put bits into the mouth of horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal. Or take sheep as an example. Sheep, the sheep that moves on the ocean, as an example. He said, although they are so large, okay, and are driven by strong winds, they are stirred by a very small rudder. A very small rudder. That things that what's it called? The pilot. The pilot, controls the ship with. As massive as that ship is that small rudder that controls it. He said, okay, they are stirred by a very small rudder, whenever the pilot wants to go. Whenever the pilot wants to go. Likewise, the tongue is a small part of your body. The tongue, your tongue is a small part of your body, but it makes great boasts. Meaning this tongue, your whole life is dependent on your tongue. It makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. A great forest, all this wildfire, whatever that's happening, is started by a small spark. And it destroys a whole lot of things. Okay? He said, okay, the tongue also is a fire. A world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire. Sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. It's trying to let us know what our mouth can do. Our mouth can transform your whole life. Your mouth can transform your whole life. If your life is in deep mess right now, your mouth can turn it around. If your life is moving so swiftly well, your mouth can turn it around. So your mouth is the knob of your life. Amen. Hallelujah. Your mouth is the knob of your life. When I mean a knob, I mean the control point of your life. Your mouth, my mouth, your mouth is the control point of your life, not your neighbor's mouth. Your neighbor's mouth cannot control your life, but your mouth. So what are we saying? We're saying that our mouth is the major controller of our lives. Now, if you're seeing something that you shouldn't see in your life, your problem is not your neighbor. Your problem is not witch. Your problem is not wizard. Your problem is your mouth. That means if there's a mess in your life, this knob is what you have been using to control it. That is what the instruction manual said. That is what the instruction manual said. That our mouth is a control knob for our life. So what are you going to do? Think about it. If a whole you as you are, this instrument, this tool called the mouth that has a tongue, it was what is controlling your whole life, what will you do? If it is true, and it is true, what will you do? What will you do? So we're looking at it today. My mouth, is it really an instrument? Is it really a tool? If it is a tool, what is it meant for? Now we've established that our mouth is meant for speaking, because from the book of the very beginning, from our manufacturer's manual, which is the Bible, we've been able to establish that the first thing our maker did with his mouth, from what we are told, is that he spoke. He said something. He said, remember, man is a spirit. You are natively a spirit. You're not a body. This body is your house. So every organ that you see is a representation of how your spirit looks like. That means you have a mouth, you have eyes, you have ears, you have nose, you have hands, and you have legs. So your mouth is used to do something. That means this physical body, we have a spiritual body living in this house. Living in this house. So whatever we want to see in this physical world is dependent on our mouth. How great is this mouth? Our mouth is the most important organ in this body. Is the most important organ in this body. A blind man that can talk is not disadvantaged. That means the control knob is still working. So nothing, see, you don't have to blame anybody. So for today, we've established two things. We are meant to speak, to say something with our mouth. Not for eating, not for any other thing, but to speak, right? Then number two, our mouth is a control knob. That's the control room of our lives. Your life is dependent on your mouth. Your life today is dependent on your life, on your mouth, rather. Your life is dependent on your mouth. So now that you know that your life is dependent on your mouth, your life is not the... See, God has given you everything. Remember, the term God means the self-existent one. And he has made you to be like him. He gave you all the equipment he has. So he expects you to use it well. So whether you know about it or no, it either works for you or it works against you. So instead of looking, oh, who is responsible? Oh, why is it like this? Oh, why? You never bother to look inside. You never bother to look, what these things, my hands, my legs, my arms, my mouth, what is it meant for? We need to understand it. Then we know how to use it. So thank God today. I don't really want us to stay that long. We've established that our mouth is for speaking. This tool called our mouth that has a tongue is for speaking. And remember, our tongue is the smallest part, but it can do wonders. Remember the sheep. You can go and look up the sheep. Go to Google, see the picture of a sheep, how massive a sheep is. A sheep can actually tell how many containers, how many cars. As massive as that sheep is being controlled by a very small part called the rudder. That's what it's called. That's what's controlling it. So if that thing can control that massive structure that you can see, how much your mouth can control your life? Every aspect of your life can be controlled, and is being controlled whether you know it or not. Is being controlled by this organ called the mouth and the tongue. The mouth that has a tongue, rather. So I want you to ponder on it and think deeply how this thing called the mouth has affected your life. Now you know that your life is dependent on your tongue, on your mouth. So anytime you hear me say tongue, I'm referring to the mouth, okay? Because your tongue is in your mouth. That's what enables you to speak. So we're going to end this class today, and I hope that you learned something that you put to work. Remember, the essence of this class is for us to be able to make changes, lasting changes. Now, I expect that after this lesson, you should be able to, have a rethink of what you have been doing with your mouth, what you have been doing with this tool called the mouth. Okay? Now, in the next class, which will come up tomorrow, we're going to look at how can we, if our lives has been going on the wrong direction, how can we turn it around with this mouth? How do we use this mouth? What are we expected to do with this mouth? Now we know we can say. What are we supposed to say? How do we say it? The things that the things that have gone wrong, how do we correct it? Everything is in the instruction manual. So see you tomorrow. By the grace of God, I will be here, same time. So we'll talk about it and we establish it. God bless you. Thank you, because as you put it to work, your life will go from glory to glory. This is what Bell Cell is for, changing lives. God bless you.